Most people assume that what happens after 60 is mostly out of our hands. They believe the slow decline they see in themselves or in others is simply part of the natural aging process. It's all in the genes, some say. Others chalk it up to luck. Whether someone has a health scare or manages to live comfortably into their 90s without many issues. But the truth is, the real reasons many people start to fade, physically, emotionally, and mentally, are often not what you'd expect. They're not always about major diseases, bad habits, or even age itself. More often, it's the subtle, quiet shifts in daily living that gradually chip away at our well-being. These shifts are so small that we don't even notice them happening until one day we look up and realize we're not as vibrant, sharp, or steady as we once were. The good news is that many of these changes are not irreversible. In fact, with awareness and intention, they can be softened, corrected, and even prevented. This video is going to explore 5 unexpected and often unspoken reasons why so many people begin to decline after 60, even if they've led healthy, active lives up to that point. These aren't the usual suspects like poor diet, lack of exercise, or bad habits like smoking. No, these are deeper, quieter forces that often work in the background. And once you know what they are, you'll be in a much stronger position to age not only with more health, but with more purpose, vitality, and joy. One of the first and most overlooked reasons for fading after 60 is a quiet loss of something called microsocial engagement. This refers to the small, everyday interactions that used to be a part of your life without you even thinking about them. These aren't deep, emotional conversations or long lunches with family or old friends, though those still matter. No, this is about the brief but meaningful encounters that use the pep of your day, saying hello to the clerk at the grocery store, chatting with the mail carrier, exchanging a smile with a neighbor, or nodding to the person you pass during your morning walk. These are the tiny threads of connection that wove your day together. They may have seemed unimportant, but they were actually keeping your brain sharp, your mood balanced, and your sense of belonging strong. After 60, especially as people retire, move, or lose certain routines, these little moments begin to vanish. You might stop going to the store yourself and order groceries online instead. You may not hear the doorbell ring as clearly anymore and miss the chance to wave at a passerby. Or perhaps you no longer attend the same gym, visit the same post office, or take that daily walk that used to bring you into contact with the world. Slowly, without realizing it, the world begins to shrink, not because of illness or frailty, but because the social friction that kept you embedded in community fades away. And when that happens, your nervous system begins to suffer. It registers isolation as a stressor, increasing inflammation, elevating cortisol, and disrupting sleep. The brain's social circuits grow quiet. Memory starts to weaken. Even immune function begins to decline. What's most heartbreaking is that many people don't even notice this is happening. They tell themselves they're simplifying life, that it's just more convenient to stay home, that they're avoiding unnecessary hassle. But what's really being avoided is life itself. Life in its everyday texture, its rhythm, its flow. A man I knew in his 70s once told me that his morning walks weren't about exercise. They were about waving to the kids at the bus stop, nodding to the crossing guard, and ordering the same coffee from the same barista. That 5-minute stretch of human contact gave his day structure. It made him feel seen. It reminded him, in the smallest way, that he still belonged in the world. So if you found yourself speaking to fewer people, avoiding outings, or feeling more invisible than you used to, consider that it may not just be aging. It may be disconnection. And the antidote is simpler than you think. Step outside, go to the store yourself, strike up a small conversation. Say good morning to the person next to you at the pharmacy. You don't need a large social life to feel alive. You just need a steady stream of small reminders that you still matter. And those can come from anywhere, as long as you stay open to them. The second unexpected reason many people begin to decline after 60 is what we might call overcautious inactivity. It's the well-intentioned decision to pull back on movement and activity out of fear. And it often starts with a perfectly understandable experience. Maybe you had a near fall. Maybe you felt dizzy one day on the stairs. Maybe your knees started aching or your back gave out while gardening. And suddenly, without meaning to, you start reorganizing your life around what feels safest. You sit more. You avoid bending, reaching, climbing, lifting. The people around you even encourage this. Be careful, they say. Don't overdo it. And so you listen. But what no one tells you is that when you stop moving, the body doesn't stay the same. It weakens. Quickly, muscles begin to atrophy. Joints stiffen. Balance deteriorates. You might think you're preserving your strength by resting more, but the opposite is happening. You're slowly losing the very capacity you're trying to protect. And the core, the center of your strength, is often the first to go. These deep abdominal and spinal muscles are what keep you upright, steady, and mobile. When they weaken, everything else starts to feel harder. Getting out of a chair becomes a struggle. Climbing stairs feels like a challenge. Even walking across the room can feel unsteady. There was a man named Joseph I met once who had been strong and independent well into his 70s. But after a fall, he didn't break anything, just got a bad scare. He started sitting more and doing less. Within a year, his muscle mass had dropped significantly. His energy was lower. He moved more slowly, more cautiously, and began to look years older than he was. Not because his body gave out, but because he stopped using it. And the truth is, our bodies are like living machines. They need to be used to stay in shape. They don't hold their function by resting. They hold it by moving. Of course, you should be cautious. Of course, you should use a handrail or a cane if needed. Wear supportive shoes, clear cluttered walkways. But being safe doesn't mean being still. You have to keep sending your body the message that it's still needed. That's how it stays alive. And that doesn't require anything extreme. Walking around your home several times a day, standing up and sitting down a few extra times, stretching, reaching, carrying lightweight objects. These small acts keep your coordination, balance, and strength active. More importantly, they keep your confidence alive. And confidence, more than strength alone, is what determines how much you do each day. So if you've been sitting more, moving less, or avoiding tasks that used to be easy, take a closer look. Is it because you truly can't? Or because you're afraid of what might happen if you try? Because the truth is, the only thing more dangerous than a fall is a life that slowly shrinks out of fear. And once you stop moving, it gets harder and harder to start again. The body needs motion to stay functional. And after 60, every bit of motion matters. The third hidden reason for decline after 60 is disrupted sleep rhythms, not just insomnia, but circadian confusion. After 60, your body's internal clock becomes more sensitive to environmental cues, especially light. You may not notice it, but the amount and timing of light you get throughout the day can drastically affect how you sleep, how alert you feel, and even how well your brain and immune system function. Natural light in the morning tells your brain it's time to be awake, to be alert, to release energizing hormones and suppress melatonin. Darkness at night signals your body to rest, to repair, to recover. But in modern life, this rhythm gets disrupted all the time. You might spend most of your day indoors, especially in the winter months, away from natural light. You might turn on bright lights in the evening or watch television late at night. Maybe you're on your phone in bed, scrolling or watching videos, letting blue light pour into your eyes when your body is trying to wind down. Over time, this shift confuses your internal clock. Your brain no longer knows when it's time to sleep, so you either stay up too late or fall asleep at odd hours. You wake up groggy. You nap during the day. Your energy becomes fragmented. And most importantly, your body's repair system stops functioning at full capacity. Good sleep isn't just about rest. It's about healing. Your brain clears toxins during deep sleep. Your muscles rebuild. Your immune system resets. Even your emotional regulation depends on a proper sleep cycle. And when sleep becomes shallow or irregular, everything from memory to metabolism starts to suffer. That's why older adults who struggle with sleep often feel not just tired, but disoriented, depressed, or foggy. And the fix, more often than not, starts with light. Getting 20 minutes of natural morning sunlight, even just by sitting near a window, can dramatically improve your sleep patterns. Avoiding screens or bright lights in the hour before bed helps your brain prepare for rest. Keeping a consistent bedtime, even on weekends, trains your body to maintain rhythm. I once knew a woman named Rosa who was in her 70s and had been feeling increasingly forgetful and low. Her doctor found nothing wrong physically. Instead, he suggested she walk outside each morning and dim her lights an hour before bed. She thought it was silly, but did it anyway. 2 weeks later, she said she felt like a different person. She wasn't cured of aging. She was simply back in rhythm. And when the body is in rhythm, it knows what to do. It heals. It recovers. It keeps you feeling like yourself. The fourth reason many people fade after 60 is emotional suppression, particularly unprocessed grief. By this stage in life, you've likely experienced more loss than you can count. A spouse, a sibling, a friend, perhaps even a child. These losses don't just sit in the mind. They live in the body. And when grief is not expressed, when sadness is swallowed rather than spoken, it becomes a weight the body carries day after day. It shows up in subtle ways. Tension in the shoulders, shallow breathing, loss of appetite, poor sleep, and eventually illness. Many older adults have been taught to be strong, to not burden others with their pain. They pretend they're fine, say they've accepted things, but inside, the heart remains clenched. I met a man named Raymond, widowed after 52 years of marriage. He never cried, never mentioned his wife by name. He smiled through conversations, told everyone he was managing. But within 6 months, his health took a steep decline, not from disease, but from unacknowledged sorrow. When grief stays locked away, it alters the body's chemistry. It raises inflammation. It weakens the immune system. It throws off hormones. And most painfully, it dims the spark that keeps people engaged with life. The key isn't to avoid grief, it's to allow space for it, to talk about your losses, to cry when you need to write about what you miss, to share stories with others who understand. Healing does require fixing the past. It requires honoring it. And that emotional honesty can lift a burden the body has no business carrying alone. And finally, the fifth reason people fade is the loss of daily purpose. Not life purpose in some grand, dramatic way, but small, steady reasons to wake up and move forward each day. When the routines that once gave shape to your life start to disappear, whether at work, family responsibilities, or hobbies, something else disappears with them. Momentum. And without momentum, the days begin to blur. Appetite fades. Sleep becomes shallow. Movement slows. And the body, always listening to the mind, begins to give up too. The secret to longevity isn't just health, it's relevance. It's feeling that your presence matters to someone or something. A woman I knew, named Elaine, wasn't wealthy, famous, or particularly social, but she had routines. She sent birthday cards to her grandchildren. She volunteered at her local library. She planted flowers every spring. And every single day, she woke up with something to look forward to. That structure kept her grounded. It gave her identity. And it kept her alive, not just biologically, but spiritually. You don't need a job or a huge circle of friends to feel purposeful. You just need rhythm. Feed the birds. Tend a garden. Write letters. Teach someone something. Your life's value doesn't diminish with age. It only shifts. And when you give your time, your care, or your attention to anything, even in small amounts, you remind your body and mind that you are still essential. So if you've made it this far, ask yourself, which of these quiet forces has crept into your life? Which one are you willing to confront? Because the truth is, aging is not the enemy. Disconnection, stillness, and purposelessness are. But they can be reversed one small change at a time. Start today. Reconnect. Move a little more. Let your feelings breathe. Step into the light. And above all, give your day shape, because that's what gives your life strength. Thank you for joining us today. If this message resonated with you, please leave a comment below and share which part meant the most to you. Your story matters, and we'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay well, stay engaged, and stay alive, not just in body, but in spirit.